from the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Arnab Goswami on The Debate at 10. Presented by Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G. Powered by Reva University, Softovac and Berger Paints.
Ladies and gentlemen, today Prime Minister Narendra Modi completes 20 years since he first headed a government. The first few years in Gujarat and the last 7 years as Prime Minister. From becoming the Gujarat Chief Minister in 2001 to taking oath as the Prime Minister in 2014 and then again in 2019. Prime Minister Modi has been head of government for 20 years. And there is one word, even his critics will agree, has become synonymous with him. Governance. Let's debate.
Narendra Modi completes 20 years to the day in his role as the Chief Political Executive. First as Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2001. That was the first time he took oath.
નરેન્દ્ર દામોદરદાસ મોદી
ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું
ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું
કે કાયદાથી સ્થાપિત ભારતના
He was back as Chief Minister in 2002. He took oath with the blessings of his mother on stage. He took oath for a third time in Gujarat in 2007. Look at the reception he received.
હું નરેન્દ્ર દામોદરદાસ મોદી ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું
કે
કાયદાથી
સ્થાપિત
ભારતના
When he was back in 2012, the reception was even bigger. Allies were present on stage. Other chief ministers, including Jayalalitha, had acknowledged his rise.
ભારતના સંવિધાન પ્રત્યે હું સાચી શ્રદ્ધા અને નિષ્ઠા ધરાવીશ. હું ભારતના સાર્વભૌમત્વનું અને અખંડતાનું સમર્થન કરીશ અને હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના મારા કર્તવ્યો શ્રદ્ધાપૂર્વક અને અંતઃકરણપૂર્વક બજાવીશ અને ભય કે પક્ષપાત રાગ કે દ્વેષ વિના તમામ લોકો સાથે.
As he stormed New Delhi with the 2014 mandate, even world leaders were taking note of a strong leader at the helm in India. They were present in New Delhi.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदरदास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा.
In 2019, Modi returned as India's Prime Minister. It was only governance and leadership alone that ensured history was created.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदरदास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं संघ के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात, अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के प्रति संविधान और विधि के अनुसार न्याय करूंगा। मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय संघ के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में मेरे विचार के लिए लाया जाएगा अथवा मुझे ज्ञात होगा, उसे किसी व्यक्ति या व्यक्तियों को
It's a rare milestone in the political journey of any leader anywhere in the world. Vladimir Putin of Russia and Erdogan of Turkey come to mind. But an important differentiator between them and Modi is that the Indian Prime Minister has won 6 democratic elections, each with a mandate larger than the earlier one. And it's only his governance and vision that has kept Modi in that position.
एक सबल राष्ट्र ही विश्व को योगदान दे सकता है। यही संकल्प आज आत्मनिर्भर भारत की मूल अवधारणा है।
For someone who's carried the image of a strong Hindutva leader, Modi's commitment to Gandhi and as an offshoot to toilets for cleanliness makes him an outlier. This remark was even before he became the Prime Minister.
क्या हमारा देश स्वच्छ नहीं हो सकता है? अगर 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर लें कि मैं कभी गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कौन सी ताकत है जो हमारे शहर गांव को आकर के गंदा कर सके?
It's hard to capture every scheme, every big decision, every landmark, every milestone in a 5-minute capsule. But let's look at some of the game changers.
गुड़ इसलिए कि टैक्स पर टैक्स जो लगते थे उससे मुक्ति मिल रही है। सिंपल इसलिए है कि पूरे देश में एक ही फॉर्म होगा, एक ही व्यवस्था होगी।
The last 2 decades of Modi has seen no other leader connect as much with the common man and the grassroots, bring in schemes that help the last man in the line. His connect is something that even world leaders envy.
हमारे देश में गरीब व्यक्ति की एक पहचान है, वो हवाई चप्पल पहनता है। कि मैं चाहता हूं कि हवाई जहाज में हवाई चप्पल वाले लोग दिखाई दें।
There has been another aspect of Modi, the leader, that has been shaping up in all these years, that of a social reformer.
विकराओं ने बढ़ाओ, शिक्षण बगैर कोई चारों नहीं।
And as India goes from strength to strength, the collective efforts of governance is beginning to show.
सबसे पहले तो फिर से एक बार आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, आप सबका अभिनंदन करता हूं।
Modi has a sense of destiny about his national role which has eventually materialized, and it's been on display since 2014. The best, many say, is yet to come. Let's debate.
Professor Om Prakash Mishra of the TMC, Shahid Siddiqui is editor of Nai Duniya. Hardeep Singh Kingra is spokesperson of the Congress. Professor Ashutosh Kumar is chairman of the Department of Political Science at Punjab University. Syed Zafar Islam is national spokesperson and Rajya Sabha MP of the BJP. Smita Prakash is editor of ANI. Nilesh Shah is managing director of Kotak Mahindra AMC. And Sohail Seth is managing partner of Councilage and well-known political commentator. Thank you very much. Shahid Siddiqui, I want to begin with you and then maybe get a response from Syed Zafar Islam, and then we can take the debate forward. My own view is, Shahid Siddiqui, that the fact that Narendra Modi was scoffed at for every transformation that he was trying to bring, when the people who were scoffing at him, when the people who were criticizing him even before he began, never presented an alternative vision. Now let's look at how it panned out. Let's start with social reform, Shahid Siddiqui. Do you agree that the opposition which scoffed at Swachh Bharat, Ayushman Bharat, every bold move of the Modi government got it completely wrong? And not just got it completely wrong, Mr. Siddiqui, but for 7 years, and even after 7 years, have really been unwilling to look within and ask themselves whether they misread, misinterpreted, or were misguided in looking at Narendra Modi's bold moves as a social reformer. I want to start with social reform. Mr. Siddiqui.
Arnab, let me first congratulate you and send my best wishes to all your viewers on the first day of Navratri. And on this Shubh day, we are wishing the Prime Minister his 20th year in power. And that's a huge, I think, achievement for anybody, for any leader, of whether of the opposition or anywhere in the world, in fact. And that nobody can deny that. And I admit that long time back, even before a lot of people realized his potential, I was able to see that. And I could see that he is going to emerge as the major leader in the country, and that he has done. He has given shown a new path to BJP. He has made BJP a mass party. It has changed its social character by bringing it from the upper caste and the urban, middle class to the rural folk, to the backward communities, and from a cadre-based party to a mass-based party, and from a party which did not have a symbol, which did not have an icon, providing it with an icon, and thereby, dominating Indian politics for at least last decade, and Gujarat politics for last 20 years. That's true. He has.
But my question was on governance, not politics.
No doubt about that. But yeah, governance of course has been there. But let me say that there has been more government, less governance. His slogan that there will be less government and more governance, I feel did not materialize. It has been more government and less governance. He has made decisions which have gone wrong. He has made decisions which have gone right. But
Arnab, can I just
so far as our
please?
economy is concerned, it has not done well because of the major decisions he has took without really, I don't know who advised him to take those decisions.
Arnab, I think I must respond to him, please.
Even the GST was not implemented properly.
No, 1 minute.
Our foreign policy, he has failed. He has failed on many fronts.
Can I just respond to him,
Arnab,
please?
I won't
Yes,
give. I
okay,
won't give.
enough.
I won't give.
No, 1 minute.
Marks on his
a minute.
because his promises have
can I
not
just-
materialized.
Arnab,
Our youth has
let
become
me respond
more
to
and more jobless.
Okay,
The economy has not done
let's
well.
not get restless. We have the full hour to debate this.
Can I just...
No.
I want to pick you up.
You asked me, so I.
1 minute. One minute. I want to pick up on the point you made, Mr. Siddiqui.
Problem
Yeah,
is
Mr.
you
Siddiqui,
want to
1 minute.
hear only one
We are
side.
all making opening remarks without letting me steer this. No, Mr. Siddiqui, listen. The thing with you is that you are not listening to the question I'm putting to you. I began, 1 minute, Mr. Zafar. I'm just coming to you, Mr. Zafar. I asked you a question on social reform. You answered on politics. You made a reference to economy. No problem. Just to want to counter you very properly in the course of the debate, that you see, people like Chidambaram
I don't see any
never
reform coming
understood
from him.
or will understand. I'll respond to you. People like Chidambaram never understood what it takes to build the Indian economy. He only said manufacturing is the Achilles heel of the Indian economy. Today, India has overtaken the United States to be the second most attractive manufacturing hub in the world. And yet you say that Chidambaram knew, that the Manmohan Singh government knew and Modi didn't. I truly do not understand. Under the UPA, you talk about jobs and economy. India had lost 5 million jobs in the 5-year period ending 2010, but you say they were good. No, but you say they were good, and Zafar will respond to you because he has the background there. India has seen the addition of 16 million jobs in July 2021, despite it being 10 million jobs less compared to pre-COVID levels, but yet you say this is bad. So, no. Point is you're not looking at the numbers.
No, I never said that.
If you were to look at the numbers, you would see the transformation in the economy. But you made up your mind, so Zafar will respond to you. Economy is the first subject of debate. Zafar.
No, before economy, Arnab, let me respond to Mr. Shahid Siddiqui sahab. First of all, I must take this opportunity to compliment the Honorable Prime Minister for having completed as a head of the elected government either in Gujarat or in the nation. But what is more important that he, from day one, he has very clearly emphasized that he wants to see a new India. He wants to transform India into a new India and laid the foundation of a new India. And the governance model which you are talking about, he had only 2 policies in the governance model, that there should be fairness and effectiveness. That's why all the policies, all the reform measures he has taken, be it structural reforms for a better economic growth or social reforms, everywhere he emphasized that it should be effective and there should be a fairness in delivering this. And this is what he has followed, and that is the governance model which the government has followed in last 7 years. As a result, you see the poor, which has always been neglected, today they feel empowered, because that was the objective of the government, that those who are never been given attention, they need to be empowered, and this government has empowered them. That's why today the poor is with this government, because they feel that there's a government, which has a governance model which ensures the safety and security of a common man on the street. Secondly, Mr. Shahid Siddiqui was talking about economy, and economy, see, all the structural reforms, this was a bold decision which has been taken by the Honorable Prime Minister, because it requires a political will, which he has demonstrated that he has the political will to undertake such structural reforms, which has actually transformed the Indian economy. It will further push Indian economy to a higher growth going forward, because those kind of reforms was needed, and which has been taken by the government and under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, both in terms of manufacturing, in services sector, and everywhere you see that the potential which has been created by this government, by the policy measures, is unprecedented, and there is no way you can criticize the government for having taken such decision, because he has laid the foundation of a strong economy, and who will bear the fruit? The next generation, unlike in the past where you have taken a decision, the Manmohan government has taken a decision which actually
I just must say that while we are discussing this, Mr. Zafar, Mr. Syed Zafar, while we are debating this, comes a bit of breaking news which actually is very relevant in the context of the debate. I've just got the news that the United Kingdom has totally reversed the vaccine racism it was trying to introduce by putting unfair conditions on Indians who were going despite their being fully vaccinated. And we all know that 2 days back, India hit back, and in 3 days, the British have fallen into line. You know, that's the kind of approach. And you've been a diplomat, Mr. Kingra, that makes us proud. Yes. No nonsense. Hit back at the British if required. Hit back at the Chinese. Hit back at the Americans in required. A different kind of foreign policy makes you truly proud. And even you, Mr. Kingra, you know, a loyal congressman, a loyal member of the Vadra Congress should take pride in this. And you too, Mr. Mishra, should take pride in this. You should say, look at the direction of foreign policy. It's completely changed. And this vision is only possible because the Prime Minister does things that make it possible. I want to ask you, Mr. Kingra, why aren't you proud? I know you may not like Modi, but my question to you is, what doesn't make you proud? Suppose No, the Gaganyaan, India's first manned space flight, right? It is scheduled its space flight scheduled around 2022-23. You know, I will stand up and give a standing ovation, right, to the space scientists as well as the political leadership that makes it possible. But you won't. 5 trillion economy by 2024. 5 trillion economy target by 2024. You say our GDP needs to grow at 13%. You should be happy, Mr. Kingra. You look devastated. You look so worried that God, if we become a 5 trillion economy,
I'm not devastated at all.
and if Narendra Modi uses that achievement politically, there's no future for us. No, Mr. Kingra, one more point. You see, I must tell you, one more point. Just think, the entire Indian Railways is going to be fully electrified. You know the amount of work that goes into making something like that happen? It requires thinking, scale, leadership, especially when your party's only approach is trying to create a fire in Hathras one day, with the Vadras then running to try and create a fire in Lakhimpur one day. You know, this cauldron politics that you must give complete credit that while you entertain the nation with the ups and downs and antics of Navjot Singh Sidhu, there is a Prime Minister who continues to be steadfast on governance, Mr. Kingra. Please, now over to you, Mr. Kingra. Take pride. Take pride in the achievements of the government.
Arnab, Arnab, let me say something. The first thing is that I must congratulate the present Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, for completing 20 years in public life as a lead man of Gujarat and as lead man of India. Now, let me one more thing make clear, Arnab, that Prime Minister, he is the Indian Prime Minister. He should not say he is a BJP Prime Minister or he is a Congress Prime Minister, because once you are elected as head of the government, as the chief executive of a nation, then you must serve the nation, not a political party. Okay, so that is one thing which is lacking in Mr. Modi, that he thinks he's a BJP Prime Minister. He's my Prime Minister also. As a Congress spokesperson, he's my Prime Minister also.
Gaganyaan serves a political party?
Of this country.
Electrification of the Indian Railways serves a political party? Our 5 trillion economy serves a political party? How did you say that?
No, let me complete my argument. You know, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, I visited Gujarat many times.
No, 1 minute. I want to ask you 1 minute, but Mr. Kingra, Mr. Kingra, I'm already getting feedback. I'm already getting feedback from people watching the program tonight, and they're asking for a clarification, and they say, Arnab, continue to ask him, and I want to ask him. Sohail is eager to come into the debate. 200 million rural households with pipe water. The Congress spokesperson says it serves a political party. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
You know,
200 million rural households with pipe water. A number greater than all the houses of the United States of America with pipe water by 2024.
You have to physically clean the country. Come and I will show you the Swachh Bharat and its success into the rural areas.
Okay, on the debate, Sohail.
I will show you in Delhi itself the result of the Swachh Bharat. There is nothing Swachh except for the airport. It is only the airport which is used by 10 crore people in this country of 130 crores. 10 crore people use the airport, and you shine the airport.
Mr. Kingra,
the other means of transport.
You see, the Congress doesn't know when to stop. It's like a ballistic missile going nowhere.
So let us
1 minute, Mr. Kingra. Kingra ji.
Let us talk
you see, there he is. He's prepared a speech written by someone from the Congress. So you just keep on. You'll have to mute him. So, Mr. Kingra, the beauty and the difference between Narendra Modi and Manmohan Singh is Manmohan Singh was in office but not in power. Narendra Modi is in office and in power. In your time, Sonia Gandhi, as the president of the Congress party, was in power. Manmohan Singh ji, a brilliant prime minister, good human being, he was never in power. You know, no one bothered about that. I think what Arnab Goswami started the program with is something all of us should have, is a bit of grace and cut the man some slack. All said and done. Now you say there is no Swachh Bharat in rural India. Has a beginning been made? The answer is yes. When rural women folk were told that they would get gas cylinders, did that process begin? The answer is yes. Has Digital India taken off? The answer is yes. Has Startup India taken off? The answer is yes. One man cannot change the fortunes of a country which one political party made its best attempts to destroy when it was in power. So cut the man some slack. Let me tell you what are the pros and what are the cons. The pros is that Modi has always led from the front. He's been squeaky clean. You know, people can talk rubbish as they always do in our country. Whenever there's anyone successful, the envy quotient goes up. But the fact is that he has been an avowed nationalist and a believer in the India capability and in the India dream. We can't take that away from Modi. Where do I think he's gone wrong or is going wrong? I think a lot of the good that this government does gets completely vitiated by silly utterances from people either from their party or from the government. Number two, on certain issues, the Prime Minister should now start breaking his silence. You know, continuing to be silent, and I know where he's coming from. He doesn't want to get into a pig fight because the pig enjoys it and only you get dirty. But the reality, Arnab, is to my mind, the communication effort of this government is 1/10 of what it has actually achieved. You know, Arnab, you made a very interesting point about UK vaccine racism. I've been to London twice in the last 2 months, and I've suffered because I've been doubly vaccinated. The vaccination program in India today is worthy of envy by everyone. You talk to people in England, you talk to people in America, they say, wow, India's really got it right. We don't have paper slips, we have digital certificates.
Yes, true.
What he did with the UK, and today that the UK has had to almost fall back and do a U-turn, is because of the toughness of diplomacy. And India never was tough as far as diplomacy was concerned. We were by and large wimpish. What he did with Balakot, what he did with Pakistan, what he's done repeatedly is told people that, look, I'm no walkover. And finally, in my opening remarks, I want to say one more thing. No matter what you say, Arnab, I don't belong to the Congress, I don't belong to the BJP, I certainly don't belong to the TMC, much though I love Professor Om Prakash and his, Mother Mary, Mamata Banerjee. But I will say only one thing. Across the world today, India's head is held high. The NRI feels proud to be of Indian origin. Indians feel proud to go abroad. So there's a lot that's going. Obviously, it's 7 years. Things are not going to happen overnight. And we as Indians have also got to accept the blame for a lot of what we put at our doorstep. So I don't believe he's done a bad job. 20 years of public life is tough. 20 years of being democratically elected is tough. Cut the man some slack and celebrate, because if he can do it, every Indian can as well. And I think that's what we should draw inspiration from.
Well, I'll add one point to that, Sohail. Just want to add one point to that. I think the problem is also in the fact, and I'm coming to you, Professor Mishra, you look very restless. I don't know why. It's only 20 years, you know. You see, Professor Mishra, Lutyens has not understood Modi's governance model. Lutyens wants to measure Modi's governance model, but what they were used to. You know, so Lutyens is angry. Why are Lutyens journalists not being taken on planes? Free rides, access. Why can't editors walk into the Prime Minister's house anymore? Why can't people from corporate India be escorted into ministries anymore to cut deals? You know, there are certain ways in which things operated. Now, you see, Mr. Mishra, what happens is, and you tell me one thing, Swachh Bharat, for example. Aren't you proud that India has been declared free of open defecation? 600 million people in India have been provided with toilets, 600 million. 600 million Indians have been provided with toilets. I think it's a huge governance goal. And I need to also tell you this, that please consider how open defecation had become the norm in our country. Till Narendra Modi came into power, open defecation, large majority of Indians were openly defecating because there were no toilets till Narendra Modi came into power. So, Mr. Mishra, doesn't that make you really, really, really proud? You talk about one of the highlights of, for example, your election campaign was water connections in Bengal. And in that context, I'd like to tell you that if you're proud of what you're trying to achieve at a state level, then what about the Jal Jeevan mission? Tap water connections have been provided to 100,000 villages across India. Earlier, only 17% had tap water connections. So I'm just saying, putting a very simple thing to you, and I'm asking you and Shahid Siddiqui, all the wise people tonight, that 600 million toilets, right? And villages being connected with tap water, is this an achievement or not? Just be very objective, Mr. Mishra. Don't just these two things. Does it make you happy, proud? Does it forget that you are a Trinamool Congress spokesperson? Does it make you proud and happy? Proud and happy. No, I've just started, but you can continue. No, I've just started, but you can please take over.
Arnab, have you finished or not? If you have finished, then I am starting, and I hope
now I have finished.
that you are not going to interrupt me. You shall not interrupt me. Thank you. Thank you, Arnab. Well, 20 years of Prime Minister Modi being in office, first as Gujarat Chief Minister, now as Prime Minister. I want to focus on the time when he became the Chief Minister. An RSS Pracharak was foisted on the MLAs of Gujarat. He was not elected, he was foisted. And Gujarat soon plunged into communal riots. That is the start. Now this month, October, Prime Minister is in Lucknow, 120 kilometers, Lakhimpur Kheri. One of the most grisly, murderous attack on the farmers have taken place, not a word. Prime Minister talks about and pays homage to Gandhiji on 2nd October, only few days back, and his supporters, they actually, try to trend Godse Jindabad. So this is how it is. Now about the governance issue. All right, he was against GST. Well, he was against direct benefit transfer because he opposed Aadhaar. He mocked Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And he went to Mumbai within 48 hours of the terrorist attack and in fact had a press conference outside one of the attack sites in order to criticize the government at that point of time. Lal aankhein dikhaunga, China, and he is completely avoiding that reference at all. The situation in Kashmir has unfortunately deteriorated. And then you have, 20,000 crores of drug that is being confiscated in our country. And this is the Prime Minister who introduced this so-called demonetization, which actually is the scam of the 21st century. And then, of course, we do know how he is actually selling anything and everything. Prime Minister Nehru was Prime Minister 17 years. Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister 15 years. Jyoti Basu was Chief Minister 20 years. I can give you some other names also. But divider in chief, that is how he is been remembered. He is one of the powerful leaders of the world. But then you should read what the citation is, how he is the most powerful. In fact, our country, hopelessness, unemployment, parliament sovereignty being denied, decried. This is one of the worst possible government that has come to India.
What was my question? Okay, Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, I have not. No, 1 minute, Mr. Mishra. Mr. Mishra, I would like to gently remind you, in case you have forgotten. Do you still remember what my question was? My question to you was Presumably, you don't have an answer to my question. And you can say it is a completely fine. You can say, I don't have an answer to my question. No, the question is, I repeat. I'll tell you, I'll repeat. I will. Don't just wear one hat on my program.
So therefore, I do know about how come
but
that
Mr.
I am the fifth speaker, and how come what question has been asked of
Professor
me.
Mishra.
I do know India's position, international standing.
Professor
is now
Mishra.
very
Professor Mishra, can you
dismal,
cool
and
down
we
a
have
bit?
our
Thank
Prime
you.
Minister to blame. So therefore, I am very sorry. Although
I don't know, Mr. Mishra. One second. I'll tell you. I'll repeat, Mr. Mishra. If you have a propensity, I have also got an ability to carry on non-stop. But I will have to now curb your propensity with my ability. Your propensity will be curbed with my ability, and I will cut you short and ask you tonight, and I will tell you there is no intention. There is no intention I have. There is no, I'll tell you. He says tonight, viewers, Professor Mishra is saying tonight that Arnab, I know why you asked that question. 1 minute. You say, I know why you asked that question. Now let me tell you why I asked that question. And you listen to me, sir, before you ascribe any motive. Let me tell you why I asked that question, sir.
He was not MLA. Why
calm down. I'll tell you why I asked that question. I'll tell you why I asked the question. Now, what do you think this is, you know?
So therefore, anyone who is trying to speak
Right.
for BJP without being BJP, they should also be very careful, because we can understand, we can see through, and we have seen through, this country is suffering through.
Sure, you
our
understand
social
everything.
Solidarity
Sure.
engine.
Thank you. Well,
People are being killed because of their religion,
Thank you. Okay.
because of
Now-
their language, because of their faith. Right.
Okay, Mr. Mishra, thank you. It's a long
Can I just
intervention.
come in,
I'll say
please?
one line and let Zafar respond on that. I believe that you can be brief and very focused. Professor Mishra, who I have a lot of regard for, says, Arnab, I know the conspiracy why you're asking that question. I'll tell you when I'm asking that question. You know, Mr. Mishra, when I was in school, I'm from Assam, as you know, and we used to go from different parts of the country where my father was posted, Jabalpur, Pune. We used to take the train and go to Guwahati. And sometimes we had to change the train in Delhi. So we used to go to Delhi and then take the Tinsukia Express right up to Guwahati. And you know, Mr. Mishra, I often used to think, as a child when I used to go look out, I used to see open defecation all over, right? As an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, these are the pictures which are there in my mind. And today it gives me a lot of pride to say that 600 million people in India have been provided with toilets. It's simple. It may not matter anything to you. You're a big man. I'm sure you'd have not experienced that side of India. You may have been insulated, lived in air-conditioned comfort all your life. But I have seen that. And so it makes a difference to me. Now I'll let Mr. Zafar respond to you. You can say anything after that.
By the way,
You're following a BJP agenda. You can say anything. I'll let Zafar respond.
Arnab,
Zafar.
thank you.
About
Professor,
Thank you.
Professor, you have spoken enough. Professor, you have spoken enough. I'll be very brief. Unlike you, there are other panelists. They all have to speak. So all I want to tell you that I'm saying that unlike you, I will not take much time. I'll be very brief. All I want to try, I want you to know that in New India,
of course
homeless
you can
have
take more
homes.
time, because
You were never worried about homeless. Why are you interrupting now?
So that is why. Smita Prakash is not.
Let me just complete. I'll take 10 seconds.
Don't refer to me.
I'll take
I
10
kept
seconds.
quiet. I'm going to keep quiet. You go ahead. But then if you are
Mr.
wanting
Mishra,
to
I
bring out
will.
some
Okay,
point,
please.
based
Allow
on
me to
what I have
complete.
to say,
I am
then I have
responding to you.
interrupt
I am responding to you under the able leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. The those poor who have no homes, they have homes now. Those who had no electricity connection, they have electricity connection now. Those who have no safe drinking water in their home, they now have a connection at their home. Every ordinary citizen is feeling empowered, because everything what have been promised by the previous government have never been delivered. Now it is being delivered. That is the differentiating factor between us and earlier government, and that is the differentiate factor between Modi and earlier prime ministers. And that's why every Indian admire the honorable prime minister, because what he had promised, he has empowered the poor, he has made the country proud. Every Indian feels when they go abroad, as Suhail rightly pointed out, they feel proud, and that is something which has changed, and change which you cannot see, but every citizen of this great country is seeing, and that is what I wanted to highlight to you.
Okay, now I want to bring in Nilesh Shah. Before Nilesh Shah and Smita Prakash have not spoken, and Professor Ashutosh Kumar. Smita, I want to come to you with a general point. Are people still not getting to terms with Narendra Modi's governance style? Are they in denial? Or do they understand and not want to look that way? You know, simply, Smita, when Narendra Modi, the government speaks about the Jan Dhan accounts, all the high-profile Congi economists say it does not matter. Do they actually believe it does not matter? Do they actually believe that 400 million accounts, bank accounts, access to a line of credit to poor people does not matter? Or do they feel threatened by it? What is the reality?
Well, they have to accept it, whether they like it or not. The fact is there that he is a force to reckon with, and even his detractors will admit that they don't have an answer, because he's an electoral winning machine. It's a juggernaut that they don't know how to stop. And two, as you said, you know, the social reforms that he started from day one. The first speech which you played in the introduction about Swachh Bharat, when he spoke about toilets, from then on, you know, we moved from that decade of roti, kapda or makan. We were stuck on that record for what, 20 odd years. Then we moved to Bijli Sadak Pani, that we were stuck for 20 years, and then we moved on. And when he started off with, you know, that people will have their Jan Dhan accounts, and he was laughed at, that who's going to use net banking, that poor people will not have cell phones, they won't know how to operate. You see now when you go out, you know, you'll find even from the poorest of the poor, they're using Paytms and things like that, where you might take out a wad of cash from to pay for groceries. They are using their phones to make payments, whether it is RuPay card or whatever. So there is a lot that he has done, and which people have to face. The one small point which I want to also bring in is when Suhail talked about diplomacy, when you also spoke about the British reversing their trend and about tough diplomacy. That's what Suhail said, that it's tough diplomacy. Do you remember when in 2014 when he came in, foreign affairs he was considered a novice, that he won't know how to handle it, but he made his mark, and very few of his predecessors made that kind of a mark. Maybe Nehru and Indira Gandhi, but not beyond. His hosting of Obama in the Republic Day parade, his visit to Israel, his bringing the Middle East closer to India, his reaching out to Southeast Asia, particularly Japan, his emotional outreach to the neighboring countries, his one-on-one that he has with G20 leaders. I mean, you can talk about so many things. And the fact is that India has become... Why does India have a muscular foreign policy today? It's not because just Modi decided one fine day that let me be muscular, let me be forceful in what I do, whether it's China, Pakistan or anybody. It's not that. You first become an economic giant of some manner. You are not then trying to placate the other countries. You're not subservient. You are saying that I am here, I have this manufacturing hub, I have the buying capacity, my rural India is going to be able to buy your products. Come sell here, come make here. Once you start doing that, once you start pushing forward your economic liberalization, which probably began with UPA, nobody denies that yet. Yes, it was Narasimha Rao who started it, but you give impetus to that. And in spite of a COVID economy, you are projected that your economy is going to be one of the fastest growing next year. Once you do that, the world realizes that if they are tough on India today because of Modi, they are the ones who are going to lose out on doing business with India. That is when our policy, our international policy becomes muscular, because we are standing on a sound ground.
I think you mentioned You mentioned foreign policy there, Smita. 100% agree with you. I would actually take it beyond foreign policy. I think the remarkable thing, Nilesh, about Prime Minister Modi is the fact that from day one, he's only had strategic thinking. He doesn't respond to individual situations alone. He has a strategic point of view. In that context, you know, if people say transformative governance, transformative leadership, can one individual transform the country? I would take the example, Nilesh, of say Lee Kuan Yew. When Lee Kuan Yew took over as Prime Minister of Singapore, I think it was in the 60s, it was called a third world country. And in the 20-25 years that Lee Kuan Yew spent as head of government, it became a first world country. The entire economics of the region centered around Singapore. But I think, Nilesh, Lee Kuan Yew's challenge was much easier than Narendra Modi's challenge. Because Lee Kuan Yew did not deal with the complexities of democracy in that sense. He could curb a lot of things. He could bring in the kind of controls that would be challenged and seen as dictatorial in India. So to manage the complexities of democracy at the scale of India and even think of the kind of transformation, I think that's a tremendous vision. I don't know what you think. Maybe you want to respond to that and also the points that have been made on economy, because I think economy has been one of the success stories of this government despite the ups and downs. Nilesh.
So Lee Kuan Yew was working as a consulting lawyer in Indian Overseas Bank, and he wanted to model Singapore on the basis of Bombay then. This is part of his autobiography. Today, Mumbai wants to be like Singapore. Now, we were importer of mobile phones. Now we are exporter of mobile phones. From being 12th largest producer of mobile phone, we have become second largest between 2014 to 2021. We were 7th largest automobile market. Despite challenges, we are now the 4th largest automobile market. We were second largest sugar producer. Now we are top sugar producer. We were 4th largest steel producer. Now we are second largest producer. In last 7 years, we have moved 4 ranks in global GDP. From being 10th largest economy, we have become 6th largest economy. And if we maintain this trend, we will become 3rd largest economy. Today, we are bigger than France, Brazil, Italy, Russia, and in striking distance of UK, Germany, and Japan. So this is undoubtedly an achievement on the economy. But we also have to remember that in per capita GDP, Bangladesh will be overtaking us. We should have divested Air India when it was 100% monopoly on Indian sky. But after putting 70,000 crore, now we are looking to divest. We are unable to take tough decisions when Lee Kuan Yew was able to take. And hence, from 1947, we have seen every single peer outperforming us. In 1980, India and China were of similar size. Today, they are 5 times bigger than us. In 1960 or 65, India and Korea were of similar size in per capita GDP. Today, they are 30 times bigger than us. So it is time for us to come for common good, take tough decisions, not, let the good economy prevail over decisions rather than bad politics.
I agree with you there, but 2 quick questions. Had we moved at the pace we are moving, making structural changes of the kind we've seen since 2014, structural changes, had we made these changes, say, in the 60s or the 70s, where would we have been?
So in 1947, we were endowed with highest railway track in the country. Today, China has far bigger railway tracks than India. We are not able to move our goods on our railway track. The marathon runner runs faster than our goods train. Now, the answer to that is dedicated freight corridor. And I'm sure all of us have seen videos of dedicated freight corridor where double-stack container trains are running at 100 kilometers an hour. We may not have become like China, but certainly we would have been far ahead of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh today if we had taken structural changes in the 60s and 70s and the 80s.
Okay, but but then you need a consensus for that. And the point, just taking that forward, interesting comparisons being made here of what we could have done. I always like to look at where we can go. Professor Ashutosh Kumar, it's easy to talk about what Deng Xiaoping achieved in China, socially and economically, in terms of what he brought. It's easy to talk about what Lee Kuan Yew did, but India is complex. For every decision you take, there is a political protest, whether it be GST, whether it be demonetization, you know, so it's far more complex. How do you view Modi's 20 years, the last 7 years, and the direction we're taking? Professor Kumar.
Yes, see, like if you introduce economic reforms in an electoral democracy like India, there would be people who would be resisting it. It depends on three factors. One, how many people are going to be adversely affected? Second, what is their number? I mean, how many people? Second, how well organized they are. That's the second factor. And third factor, which is also very important, is the electoral outcome. Because if the reforms are direct and they are visible and they are affecting so many people and so many people are going to be adversely affected, and if those people are propertied classes, they are powerful elements, then you are going to face the music.
No, you have to put at some point of time overall national interest first.
Let me
you have to put. So we want. So here's the challenge. Here's the thing, Professor Kumar. We want tough decisions, but we are not willing to go ahead with the sacrifices needed to follow them up. We want to see our economy move very fast, Sohail. But we were also willing. We will stand with every possible roadblock that comes in the way. Sohail.
So while I love Nilesh's history lessons on economics for all of us, the comparisons are odious. You're comparing India to China and to Singapore. I don't recall when they were democracies in the truest sense, number one. Number two, please understand what Modi's up against. He's not only up against warring chief ministers for whatever political reasons, you're also up against a very, very lethargic judicial system. And of activism at times rightly placed and at times misplaced. So you've got to understand the pressures under which an Indian Prime Minister works. Go back into the Congress. You remember when Manmohan Singh was taking steps towards the Oval Office, Rahul Gandhi was tearing up an ordinance at the Press Club or the Constitution Club of India. I mean, within your own party, you had such dissension and differences. You think it's easy to govern India? It isn't. You think it's easy to get people aligned? It isn't. Plus, the sad bit is a lot of our political parties are party first, country second. When we change and become country first and party second,
Professor Mishra,
you will see
and Professor Mishra can respond
and more equanimity.
No, that's the point. I think we missed out one. No. And remember, Shahid Siddiqui, I still think one of the greatest achievements of Narendra Modi, and I don't know how you skipped it in your long introductory comment, is the action he's taken against triple talaq. It's the greatest social reform. How can you be quiet on it? It's one of the most visible changes. It requires tremendous political leadership to take a decision like that, Mr. Siddiqui.
No, sir, that was the Supreme Court of India and that was accepted by the Muslim community. It was people like us who for last 2-3 decades had been propagating it, and that was the reason that Muslims ignored the personal law board. Personal law board was thrown into the dustbin, and the Muslim men, not just the women, supported this idea, and this was being supported even before it became a law. There was no need for the law. It was a political decision. So, let's not talk about that.
I think it was the government. No.
But that's not the
Zafar,
main issue.
close it.
But the point is,
Zafar wants to have a quick rebuttal.
After listening to all of you, I feel we become victim of our own propaganda and all of our own data, and we start after some time we start believing it. If we are in power for too long, that's what is the undoing of most of the rulers.
Shahid Siddiqui Sahab,
Believe in your own propaganda. But you don't go to the villages where defecation is taking place.
You should give credit to what the government has delivered to you.
Are without any water, which are not
okay. I've heard you.
Go to the villages. You don't go to the villages.
You should not shy away from giving credit to the government.
You don't
which has delivered
everything to the
what's
happening in the villages of India. I go there,
including the Muslim community.
And ladies and gentlemen, Ashwini Kumar Chibbar says Modi in 20 years has changed the face of India not only domestically but internationally. One of many responses we've got on Arnab Online. See you tomorrow for the Friday evening edition. Good night and goodbye.